Here's my short video on how to replace the G35 Bose stereo with an aftermarket stereo. My G35 is a 2003. It's essentially three parts: the stereo connection, the 755-1 harness adapter, which connects the stereo to your stock G35 harness with these two quick connects. And then if you want to use the steering wheel buttons to control the stereo, I use the PAC SW1 steering wheel button adapter. So I'll go over these things in sections. The 755 replaces the Bose system. Basically it has these RCAs which plug into the back of the stereo unit. This stereo is a Kenwood, and it has a antenna adapter which I got from Crutchfield. It essentially plugs into the stereo, into your antenna, and this one is an extra one for a different type of a stereo. It also has these two connectors, USB and the mic for the Bluetooth. I'm going to take this out, but let me just show you this Kenwood system I bought. It's a beautiful system, sounds fantastic. I've tested all this out and everything worked perfect. This is how you put the CD in. You could use a Pioneer JVC, they're all pretty much the same, but they're way better than the original Bose. The 755, like I said, connects in with these RCAs, so I'm just going to get these out of the way. There for the speakers. Essentially you have this adapter which came with the stereo, and it's got the wiring harness, but since this is connected with the 755 to replace the Bose, you have all these extra wires that you don't need. These are the speaker wires. You don't use them at all. I've seen some people tape them up and tuck them away, but it takes a lot of room in the dash. All you really need is a small screwdriver, and if you go in the back you can push down a clip and get all these wires completely out, so you can just take them out. So I'm just going to pull them out. I've already pushed the clips down and got them all out, but it makes for a much nicer and cleaner install. I'm going to pull them out now so I can show you exactly what I did to wire it. This is the last step you do. Any wires you don't have left over, you can just pull them right out. Like I said, it makes for a nice clean setup. The steering wheel jack also has a whole slew of wires you don't use. You essentially use the wire which goes into the head unit. For a Kenwood, it is this blue and yellow, which matches up with that. For Pioneer, use this jack. I'm not going to use it because I don't have a Pioneer, so I put a heat wrap, shrink wrap over the end so it doesn't short out. But once again, all these wires, you can use a small screwdriver and pull them right out of the plug, so they're all gone. Makes for a nice, easier setup. So once again, going back up here, the first thing you want to do is, once you get everything set up, you don't need the RCAs, they plug directly in. But what I did was I took the simple wires first, because if not, you have a mass of wires and it's just really hard to see where it's going to go. So I picked the wires that were simple and are only going to have one wire to connect. So for the 7551, there's a 12-volt constant. It's a yellow wire. Connects directly to the yellow wire to the stereo harness. This came with my stereo. Pioneer or anything would come with the same sort of harness. There's an illumination wire for dimming the lights with your standard dimmer switch, and for this system it's an orange which connects to the orange white for the stereo unit. The next is a blue for the antenna. The G35 doesn't have a power antenna, but it has a amplifier, and some people forget to connect this. So on the head unit it's for a power antenna, but for the G35 you need to connect that power source to the antenna amplifier. If you don't connect it, you'll have terrible reception, but it's a real easy connect, and it's a blue, believe it or not, a blue to a blue. This is a power cord, and it's a blue-white, and what it does is it comes out of the head unit and it powers the Bose amp. You have to have this wire connected or you're not going to have any sound in your rear speakers. So this connects the amp. The next one is the red switched 12 volt. What I did was I connected it to a red from the Bose harness to the head unit harness, but also this is where you want to put your PAC steering wheel control, to a switch. So there's three wires that go into that. The next thing is the ground, and I think this is where a lot of people are making a mistake when they don't have sound out of their amplifier, because there's essentially two grounds. One is coming from the stereo, one is coming from the Bose amp, the other one is going to the wiring harness, and what I did was I wired another ground wire which I'll connect to the chassis. You can't have too many grounds, And so I put that all together. I didn't wire the pack ground into that because it was just too many wires. I'll wire that separately. Essentially, this is the whole system. The only wires that you have to connect inside the car, you're either going to have to connect them or solder them, is these 3 wires. The steering wheel control ground, the steering wheel control button red wire, and the steering wheel control button green wire. Those wires from this pack system is about the most complicated thing. You have to connect in these resistors. So the green wire has a 47 ohm. No, actually the green wire is 150 ohms, the red wire is a 47 ohm. And those go right in there. I just left them open, but I'll cover them up with shrink wrap and put them all in. That's it. That's pretty much the wiring diagram. It's really simple. These ones will go in the car. The rest is plug and play. There was one wire I didn't have, which is a mute wire, which I didn't use, but it has something to do with the Bluetooth or the phone. It mutes it, and I don't think I need it, but I left it connected. So that's the wiring system for my G35 2003 Bose replacement.